Hi, this is my week two knowledge check video. Let's get into it. Chapter four, briefly describe the difference between ethical and legal behavior concerns. Well, ethical is more ethical concerns are more of the company than the values and morals it stands on versus legal. It is where this can be enforced in court and it's law. Then if I explain the four factors that influence ethical and marketing behavior. First is societal culture. Norms serve as socializing forces that can say what is morally right and just. So it gives you basically guidelines of what you can be in marketing. Second, business culture, practicing industry practices, and it affects ethical conduct in both relationships between buyers and sellers and the competitive behavior among sellers. Like, are you trying to undermine each other? Are you trying to drop prices, trying to knock them out of business because, hey, I can take this less money? Third is corporate culture and expectations, often defined by corporate ethics, which is sort of set by top management and shared with everybody, like your coworkers. And finally, it's your individual personal moral behavior. Like, do you have good morals? Like, say one of the ethics is like people are wanting to be treated with respect. Well, you're one of the type that they have to earn it first. Well, you might come off as rude and it can spiral from there. Second, briefly explain three concepts of responsibility. Three concepts. First is profit responsibility. You owe it to the company to try to maximize profit to earn money because it's still a company. You have to make money. Second is the stakeholder, which is that's where involving your employees, having to protect and look out for them, make sure they're good because the company doesn't run without the employees who are achieving the goals and achievements for that company. And then finally, it is the societal you're having to look at too is the third one because you have to look for society norms and look out for it. Like carbon neutral companies are having to push towards that. Society wants that. And if you're not pushing towards do that, you're not looking out for society, which then again can give you a bad reputation as a business. Chapter five, what are the five stages of consumer decision process? First stage of the consumer process is problem identification, which that one pretty self-explanatory. You identify a problem which you have, and then you have to say, this is where I want to be, this is where I'm at. Second is information search. You're trying to decide, okay, what do I need to satisfy the problem I have? And then you do the alternative evaluation. You're looking, see who's got what, who's selling this, what's the deal, what do I get from it? And then finally, purchase decision, and it's where you're going. You're buying it, buying what, from where, from whom, and like how much. All that influences. And then finally, it's the post-purchase decision to where like, okay, how am I using it? Am I getting the value that I paid for it? Identify and explain major psychological concepts that influence consumer behavior. Major psychological concepts. First one is motivation, energizing force, simulates behavior to satisfy a need. Then, like, yeah, personality, like, how do you react to situations? Are you, like, say, for example, you're a person that's like, oh, let's just get new, forget if it doesn't work, forget it. Don't even try to work on it. Or you're a person that's like, that tries to extend the life of it as much as possible, constantly maintaining, working on it, trying to fix it and upkeep it yourself and save yourself money instead of having to buy a new one. There's that. Then there's perception. It's like, and that's the process of which individual selects, organizes, and interprets information they get, and to create a meaningful picture of the world. And like, they'll filter the information through selective looks. I mean, they'll have influence, and then you have like learning. Like you're gonna learn values and you learn behaviors from people you hang around with. And then the last one is like your beliefs and attitudes. Like what do you believe in? Are you one of those people that believes in like, hey, we should just go new, we should look best, or do you have the attitude of I can fix it, I'm okay, I don't need anything, I got all I need. And then finally, the last one is lifestyle, to where it's what are you chasing? Are you trying to live a luxurious lifestyle? Or are you just trying to live the simple one? Like how are you trying to base your life off of, which when you see like magazines, Instagram influencers, that can change it. And sometimes people buy because of lifestyle. They want a part of that. And then social, cultural, and influences and how are they? Well, first one is personal influence. Like, what do you believe? What do you think from your personal experiences, like your word of mouth? And then reference groups are people who they look at for self-approval. Like, hey, am I doing good? Am I doing bad? Is this nice? Is this not? And then like, and then that's and you base it off that. Then you have social class, and that influences your values, your attitudes, and beliefs, and your lifestyle. Like, okay, I don't hang out around with rich people, but so I don't need to go buy a rich car, but they all have decent cars, so maybe I should go get one. Then you have your family influences, which also can influence you greatly because you're around them all the time. They know you, they have influenced you a lot, so you tend to lean more towards what they like. And sometimes they can influence you to where you don't like it. Like for example, my sister, my family loves cars. She absolutely does not like them. Like the influence can go both ways. And then finally, person's culture, like baseball, for example, even though it's a sport, it is sort of a culture and lifestyle. Like you have to buy into it, you have to understand it, and it can tend to cause you to change your influences. Like, say, everybody wants a like recently baseball bats with bigger barrels. That's influencing consumer behavior now because now companies are having to produce more of that because people are wanting to buy it because they see Major League Baseball players using those bats and getting good success and more power with it. And then the last part, chapter 7. What are three major environmental forces that shape global marketing efforts? What do they consist of? First one is cultural forces like the values, customs, and symbols and language. Like every culture has a different value, different belief, can have different beliefs, different language. Like you look at English, we speak it different than the United Kingdoms and how they speak English. Like a biscuit to us is something we eat at breakfast, like a nice golden flaky biscuit, occasionally put on gravy. Biscuit to them, that's a cookie. Like I said, language can be different. So you have to know that. And then you have economic forces shaping the global market. And why is that important? That's important because now, say a country can't buy as much or they're not a market that can give you a good return on investment. Well, now you might avoid that. Or you might not go to that market, or hey, this is an untapped market. Maybe we gotta flood into there. And like, because they have a lot of purchasing power, they have a lot of income, and your exchange rate can also be good. And finally, you have political and regulatory forces in countries or regions of the world that can create favorable or unfavorable, like F1 with the US and the Iran war going on, F1 had to back out of its Middle East portion of the schedule. Why is that important? Well, that's two high money making races for them, and now they've had to drop because the climate in that area and the marketing just does not support it. Like you're putting everybody at risk, and now that looks bad on you. Again, that's because regulatory or governments decide to something different. And then there's four alternative approaches a company use to enter market. There's licensing, joint venture, exporting, direct investment. Exporting, you produce products in one country and send them into another country. Licensing, a company offers the right to a trademark, patent, and trade secret, and in return they'll get a royalty fee. So like you look at the Dosnol cream that Abreva makes. Everybody knows Abreva, but you always see the off-market brand. Like you have the CVS, you have the Equate brand, which is Walmart brand essentially. You can have a Rite Aid brand. Point being, you offer the trademark up, but you get a royalty in return for the money they make. Joint venture, to where and a foreign company and a local firm invest together to create a local business. They go in, like, let's just say you want to start a restaurant, McDonald's wants to start a restaurant. Well, they might buy out a location in, let's just say, Germany. and now they go in together and that they create a local business in a foreign country. And finally, the last one, which is direct investment, and that is a domestic firm that will actively invest in and owning a foreign subsidiary or division like Toyota. They made a direct investment into TRD, Toyota Racing Development, which that is Toyota building cars, trucks, and SUVs in the United States for America. That's an American division that which Toyota from Japan invested in America. And then finally, what's the general differences between standardization and customization in regard to worldwide marketing programs? Standardization is where all the elements of marketing programs, same across countries and cultures. Customization means that one or more elements of marketing programs are adapted to meet needs and preferences of consumers in a particular country or culture. When you're trying to craft a worldwide marketing program, you're going to do standardization because like you're like trying to create the one world brand like FedEx on time around the world. It's not, oh, we're on time in the US and we're okay, we may be a little late. No, it's on time around the world. That's a standard that's a standardization. You get your package on time around the world versus uh custom is custom is basically a necessity or when it's needed. Like you'll like let's just say I'm a international fast food chain owner like McDonald's and I want to send meals and stuff to Japan. Let's say I want to open a restaurant in there. My menu is going to be a little different than US. My European menu is going to be a little bit different than the United States. Why? Because you have to fit the culture. You have to change it. You have to customize it to them. It can't just be a one standard. Otherwise, it'll fail. And that is the end of my week 2 knowledge check.